What's up, beautiful people? I hope you're doing very well. This video we're going to be checking out is one that might be controversial or interesting depending on where you stand, but it's titled Trudeau's Dystopia: How the Woke Conquered Canada. This, I think, is going to be an interesting thought, a new perspective for a lot of people. Whether you consider it a fact or not, keep an open mind. I'm not here telling you this is true or this is false, but I'm just saying listen and make out of it what you want. Let's get to it.
We mentioned, or we talked briefly there about Canada. You grew up there, didn't you?
Yes.
When you look at the country now, Eric, I mean, it's now become this byword for kind of, woke dystopia, if you like.
Yes, right.
Why Canada? Why did it happen with Canada?
Well, it happened, and this is kind of an argument I make, is that the seeds were already, the ground was already laid. It was fertile ground for the woke revolution.
Oh.
And in fact, so much of what we think of as woke extremism, actually, if we go back to an earlier era of multiculturalism, that was a kind of wokeness before its time, but just not as extreme. So Canada, for example, what happens is you have the decline of the British Empire, the end of Canadian loyalty.
Honestly, when I hear the word woke, right, I'll let him continue. I'll take the video back. But when I hear the word woke, what it does to me is it's conflicting, because when this word was established by the young African American community, it was like active, like stay woke, like stay active, don't sleep, get your money. It was something to encourage. But now this woke word has been infiltrated and mixed up with a lot of negatives that I don't even want to be hearing about. Yeah, they really changed the word for us.
But just not as extreme. So Canada, for example, what happens is you have the decline of the British Empire, the end of Canadian loyalism, and the replacement of the British identity, which was really what defined Canada as opposed to the United States, as they were loyal to the crown in the Revolution. And so the loyalists founded Canada in sort of the late 18th century. That was the basis for Canadian identity, with the exception of the French, which is a bit more complicated. But British Empire goes away and they have to find a new identity. It's just around the time of the 1960s, and so the country is completely reinvented from scratch as a left-wing country. That had never been its identity. It's complete fiction. And the other fiction is this idea of multiculturalism. There were almost no Canadians who were not of British or French ancestry. Very small, maybe 10%. But Canada adopts this policy called the Multiculturalism Act of 1971, at a time when there really wasn't much multicultural reality on the ground. But that sort of lays the seed. It says there's an obligation to promote the multicultural character of the country. So that's already there in 1971. It gets sort of given a bit of steroid injection in the 1980s. And then pretty soon we have a constitution, a new constitution. Again, that's a new constitution which was adopted. And one of its provisions, for example, allows for racial discrimination, as long as that's achieving a quote-unquote social purpose. Now, maybe for a long time that wasn't used. Yes. Yeah. So, unlike the U.S., where the First Amendment, not the First Amendment, but the Civil Rights Act outlaws discrimination on the basis of race, the Canadian Constitution and a number of court cases seem to show that, yeah, you can discriminate against white people all you want, against men, whoever. You now have sentencing where somebody who is indigenous or...
So this is what Vivek Ramaswamy was speaking about, where he said reverse racism is racism. The push where people were thinking white people enslaved black people or enslaved these people and took over their land, so people pushed back on white people in order to reset. It became a problem because now there's no balance. The white people that exist today did not cause slavery. And for the most part, you might find people that are biased, but everybody is. People are more likely to be inclined with somebody similar to them. Like a black man would want to speak to a black man if he needs direction. Same as a white man would want to speak to a white man if they need direction. A Mexican would like to live with a Mexican. there's a certain kind of bias that comes with humanity. So when you see this as racism and a criteria to discriminate against one race, you push back so much that it becomes a problem for the society. I don't know if I'm being understood, because what I'm saying might be controversial. A lot of people are going to attack me or criticize what I'm saying. My point is, Vivek Ramaswamy was right. Reverse racism is racism. The only way to fix this is just to coexist. That's how it's going to work. Just coexist and live as humans. That's the only way to fix this.
Yeah, you can discriminate against white people all you want, against men, whoever.
And to add, we literally saw a video where this young man was asking black people, not black people, different other races, can you be racist against a white man? They're like, no, because the white men were the slave owners, something like that. So it means if you're white, you cannot be discriminated against, and black people are incapable of being racist, which already to me that is disrespectful, because you're demeaning a black man if you're saying they're incapable of anything. That's how I see it.
Now have sentencing where somebody who is indigenous or black can have a lighter sentence by claiming systemic racism, whatever, in the system, just citing that.
Yeah.
You have university admissions jobs that are advertised only for non-whites or indigenous or whatever. So that's openly being done now. Now, it wasn't openly being done as much in the past, but the door was open.
Yes.
And I would say people were open to it. It's just those doors hadn't been pushed open. So you had a country where, because of this kind of multiculturalism seedbed, the ground was primed for extremism, and there's no resistance to it. It just steamrolls right through the system. Yeah. Now, it is the case that there is a conservative leader who is a little bit more populist sounding, who is currently, who is willing to criticize the media. So the media is completely progressive. There's almost no opposition in the media. There's one paper called the National Post, which is better, and there are small new media outlets like True North. But the mainstream media dominates to the extent, and I'll just give you a statistic here. So there was this moral panic, this hoax about 215 Indigenous children buried outside the school in Western Canada. There's not a single body that has been found through any scientific method. There's not any record of any children missing, that could be accounted for. So the whole thing is a complete scam.
Really? Let's hear that again. I heard they found about 3,000 bodies. Let's take it back.
In Western Canada. There's not a single body that has been found.
Let's take it all the way back, because I want to hear.
So there was this moral panic, this hoax about 215 Indigenous children buried outside the school in Western Canada. There's not a single body that has been found through any scientific method. There's not any record of any children missing, that could be accounted for. So the whole thing is a complete scam.
Really? Now, I don't know about this one, because I heard there was even I have a t-shirt, like an orange t-shirt. I was told 3,000 indigenous kids, and the remains of 3,000 indigenous kids were found outside a school, I think a Catholic school. Yeah, that's the information I was told, but he's saying it was a scam. Or is it not the same thing? Let me know what you think, Maybe I'm talking about a different context from what he means. But I did hear about 3,000 remains were found. I have the shirts, it's written. I think it's written on the shirt.
The media has completely run with that story, and now when it was exposed, and there was a piece that came out in the National Post saying, look, we haven't got any evidence here. There were no other media were willing to take down stories or recant or anything. And in a poll that in a study which is going to be coming out soon, roughly 65%, 2/3 of Canadians believe in the 215 mass graves myth. So the entire country has been deluded by this myth. And the Conservative Party is unwilling. Even this new so-called populist leader is unwilling to take on that sacred cow. I mean, so you've got mass delusion in the media and in the political class. Now, it is true that this Conservative leader is probably going to win the election, and Trudeau's going to go. That's good. But it's still not particularly radical. And what's happening in the schools, in the government, this Indigenous religion, is not really being challenged, and you've got mass migration on a scale that would make the British seem restrictive. So yeah,
Don't hear much about
yeah.
that here with Canada. You hear about America and
Yeah.
here, of course, but not Canada.
Yeah, I mean, a country with, maybe 2/3 of Britain's population, with a 1.2 million newcomers coming last year. Essentially now, even the National Bank economists are saying we could be creating an economic trap that is going to damage the country. Like, even the respectable technical economists are saying this is terrible, and the housing crisis is worse than Britain's.
Housing is down. Canada is behind on housing by 19%. I don't know if you guys understand. That might not seem like a lot, but more people coming in, and there's already, I think there's restrictions now, especially for international students. I don't know if that's going to help a lot. And one thing that people might not understand is if housing is down, which means there's high demand. And if there's high demand already, regardless of mortgages and the interest the landlords have to pay, already when there's high demand, people in houses can raise the price. Adding that and also adding the interest on the mortgages and all other factors. Imagine what people are paying for rent. I thought housing, I was saying in the last video that the average housing was 2,400. A few days ago, I heard it's 3,000. It's crazy. It keeps going up.
And they're saying, look, there's just no way we can house these people, And it's not just immigrants, it's temporary workers, it's students. You've just got this massive wave, and even the Conservative Party, because of the so-called immigration consensus, right? So a taboo over reducing immigration, they're not willing to go against Trudeau. And the whole system is completely out of control. There is a populist party.
Nobody, I'm sorry I keep stopping the video, nobody can go against, especially now. Let me show you something. I don't know if it's going to be visible on camera. I don't know if that can be focused. I don't know if you guys can. Oh, okay, I'm just going to read it to you. It says, Canadian Liberal Party proposes life sentences for hate speech. So imagine going against that. Then you end up in jail for your whole life. It's crazy.
Problem is, in a way, that people are so keen on getting rid of Trudeau, which I understand, the guy is revolting. So if the priority is to get rid of this person, you have to go with the most likely candidate. And that's the problem. So because Trudeau is so awful, people just want him out. So fine, you vote for the Conservatives, but the Conservatives have no real incentive necessarily to be tough on migration or on woke.
What is the name, just for future reference, what is the name of the populist party?
Oh, the populist party is called the People's Party of Canada, PPC,
Right.
and they're very good. But I don't think they'll get a break until the Conservatives get in and people see that not doing anything on these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for that analysis.
Yeah, Pierre Poilievre said something, not Pierre Poilievre, just Jordan Peterson, pardon me. Jordan Peterson said something very interesting in one of his videos. He said what he's afraid of is that they would kick Trudeau out and Pierre Poilievre is going to get in, but the previous administration had done so bad that whatever Pierre Poilievre is going to do won't be able to fix or reverse the damage done, and then that'll make Pierre Poilievre a horrible leader, and people would want Pierre Poilievre out. Yeah, I'm just paraphrasing what Jordan Peterson has said, and I think that's an interesting point. And adding to what he said, they might be able to let Trudeau go, but then when Pierre Poilievre comes in, he may not do a good job, and they'll want him to leave, and then that's where the PPC would come in. And we don't even know if they can do a good job. But let's see, for me, I always say I don't care about who the face is. I don't care if it's Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, or from the PPC. I don't care. I particularly care about the package and the policies. And that's how I address politics. I'm not like, I'm a fan of Trudeau or I'm a fan of Pierre Poilievre. I don't particularly care. I just care about the package that I think is best for the nations they are ruling at the time. But let me know what you think about that. If there's anything you want to add, correct, critique, feel free to do so in the comment section. And if my thoughts were so intense or you doubt anything, just know that these are just my thoughts, not necessarily the facts. They are just my thoughts. I'm just sharing my opinion in an open discussion. So you can share yours, you can talk to me. If you think it's trash, tell me what you said is trash because this is this, that is that. Let's have a discussion and I can learn from you as well. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.